You are listening to Candidate Conversations, a program sponsored by the WIDU Radio Network in partnership with the Fayetteville Observer. Welcome to Candidate Conversations, and welcome Peter Boykin, who is running for Lieutenant Governor. How are you today, Peter?
I'm doing well.
Great. So I guess the first question I always ask folks is really, why you're running for Lieutenant Governor in North Carolina?
I believe that North Carolina needs a strong individual who can be a conduit between the government and we the people, and who can express some of the information that our citizens need the government to work on, and that's what I believe I can do in that office.
Great. Thank you so much for that. Again, we're talking to Peter Boykin, running for Lieutenant Governor, one of the 10 Council of State positions. Can you describe the duties and responsibilities of the Lieutenant Governor? Again, this is an opportunity for our listeners to get to understand more about the different positions prior to voting.
Yeah, the Lieutenant Governor, it's been described as a bully puppet. It's not a hugely powerful position, but you do kind of have an in-between of the legislative and the executive. You sit as the president of the Senate, sort of like a VP does in federal. You can preside over that, and then you're on a good little amount of boards, including one of the biggest is the Board of Education. And so your job kind of what you write it. You should attend to your meetings, you should do your Senate hearings, but honestly, you really, in my definition, the job is there for you to reach out to the general public and find out what's going on, what's their needs. And then you try to relay that to the legislator or your governor. It's a little bit better if they're in the same party as yours. But to me, that's what your job is, to just try to improve and do the best you can with what little power you do have. But it really depends on who's in position, honestly, how much powerful they can get. So I think a strong voice can be a lot more powerful than like someone who just goes in there and really doesn't speak that much.
Great. Thank you so much. I think that's helpful. And again, you're just a voting member. If there's, I think, as I understand it, only if there's a tie would you vote. Is that right?
Correct. If there's a tie that will vote. Right now with the supermajority, until the election, it might change. There's
right.
Not that many opportunities that you would have to do the tiebreaker.
Exactly. Yeah, that makes sense. If elected, what would be some of your top priorities in this office?
I like to get to the basics. We have to work on infrastructure, we have to work on jobs, and we have to work on education. Those are things that no matter what political party you are, what side of the fence you sit on, at the end of the day, we all have to pay bills, we all have to drive the roads, we all have to have jobs. We all are dealing with the same issues, no matter what income level you're at, and or political party you're at. The issues that everybody experiences is what I'm looking for. I'm not trying to go by any particular party grounds or any party, issues, but I want to go after, trying to make the government make it better livelihood for the citizens.
Right. Thank you. We're talking to Peter Boykin, running for Lieutenant Governor in North Carolina. What would you like voters to consider when making their choice when voting for this office, which is, they want to know why they should consider you?
Well, in the primary, I would hope that people would not go by just whoever's popular or whoever has the most money, whoever they might particularly like in that primary, but they got to think about who could ultimately win the position when it comes to the general election. For me, I believe that I could offer a lot to the table. that my opponent on the other party would probably not be able to hold me on some of the things that she could do or he could do to other candidates, because I believe I'm a constitutionalist for liberty. I'm a more moderate. I'm a social not a social conservative. I am a physical conservative, and I believe in we the people. At the end of the day, I would hope that people would consider finding someone who's willing to work with everyone in the community, not just somebody who's in my party. My door will be open to talk to anyone who wants to sensibly talk. I absolutely do not agree with extremist views on either side of the party line, and I want to sit down and get things accomplished with whoever is willing to sit at the table.
Always refreshing to hear that reaching across the aisle attitude, which is lacking in the federal government, and at times it's lacking in state government and local government. So that's I think, a very positive attitude to have. Again, we're talking to Peter Boykin, running for lieutenant governor. Are there any personal experience that inspired you to enter in this field of politics?
When I was younger, when I was in high school, I ran a couple of times for student council. I participated in student council and did a lot of clubs and things when I was in school. Basically, I've been an activist for a while, seen what's been going on in the government, and figured that you can sit on the sidelines and you can do protests and yell at buildings and hold signs, but until you actually can take part in your government in some way to help be that bridge, to work for yourself and other citizens, that's the only way to do it is through being in office, because our government is for the people and by the people. And so you have to step up and run for an office. And that's the only real way you can bring a lot of change, especially unless you're some people do the route where they have a lot of money and then they influence. But when you're a grassroots person like myself, the best I can do is run. It does hinder you a little bit when you don't have enough funding, but at the same time, if you got the skills and you can go for it, I would encourage anybody to, run for office, be a part of the system. If you complain about the system, the only way you can make change is from within.
Thank you. And that makes a lot of sense. Why should people vote for you? We got the election, the primary coming up March 5th. General will be in November. Why should people vote for Peter Boykin for lieutenant governor?
Well, I have a large experience of living in North Carolina for many years, lived in multiple locations, kind of been all over the state. I did a lot of odd jobs where it took me all over the state. I love how the state is. But I worked in Cary, North Carolina for over 12 years in IT position, and I was an engagement manager. I ran multi-million-dollar contracts, and I was trusted, and I did training, and beyond that, I also managed multiple movie theaters through the years and customer service. I have the skill set and the management experience that I could easily jump from, say, eventually, lieutenant governor, which is, one heartbeat away from governor. I could take over and to do that position when needed. So there wouldn't be an issue where if the governor had to step away, I could take over. I have that experience. I have experience where I've saved their jobs, where I worked with individuals to get the best quality out of what we were doing in the position. I've got our multiple jobs that I worked at where a lot of times we started in the hole, and it was an IT system where you start with tickets, thousands of tickets behind, and I always found out ways to get us out and actually see the horizon. I've always looked for solutions to issues and problems, and better ways to educate and better quality standards for our employees, but not in a way that hurts and hinders our employees. So I've always been someone who's, been very customer and employee and internal customer focused. So I believe that if people were going to vote for somebody in government, they would hope to have someone who's not just a politician who doesn't care about them, or somebody who has a bunch of money who doesn't really understand how they live. I am someone that is reachable, who is understanding, and who is open-minded to speak to whoever wants to speak to me. And together we can get things done.
Great. Thank you so much. Anything else you'd like to add?
If anybody just check out my website, it's peterboykin.com. I've got a full amount of information on there. And you can email me or contact me. And if you email me or contact me on social media, I'll gladly give you my number. And you can always give me a call.
Great. Again, we've been talking to Peter Boykin, running for lieutenant governor and one of the 10 Council of State positions. You've been listening to Candidate Conversations on the WIDU radio network, partnership between WIDU and the Fayetteville Observer. Thank you so much, Mr. Boykin, and hope you have a great day.